The days of everyone competing for devs and I think is over. We want to take that out. So if you're a master's partner today, or if you are a studio out there and you have high costs, then we want to be able to offer you our tool for a minimum price, because we want everyone to use it. We don't think that there's a need for everyone in the industry to hire big teams of front-end developers and back-end developers anymore.
This podcast is sponsored by Pragmatic Solutions, the player account management platform chosen by today's smart betting and gaming operators. Don't let technical constraints delay you from achieving your business goals. Expand your business, boost your margins, and dominate the market in any leading regulated jurisdiction with our powerful, flexible, and secure iGaming platform. Enjoy its extensive marketing tools, compliance protection, real-time data, and a wide portfolio of over 1,000 industry providers. It's time to upgrade your technology. Let Pragmatic Solutions show you the modern approach. Visit pragmatic.solutions and join the smart thinkers.
This podcast is brought to you by Pragmatic Play, a leading game developer providing player favorites to the most successful brands across the industry. With an award-winning multi-product portfolio of slots, live casino, bingo, virtual sports, and more, Pragmatic Play is powering up new possibilities of play through one single API. Visit pragmaticplay.com and discover your favorite every time.
Bingo, bango, bongo, part 3, as they say, James Curwen. How are you doing today?
No, I'm very good. It's nice to be back. Third
Yes.
time.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And, you know, it was not planned, but I don't know if you have an influence on me, James, but I've gotten a liking for the favorite brand of yours here as well with Ami Paris. I think you brought this into the industry.
Yes. I've
Ami Paris,
been wearing
Ami
it for
Paris.
a while. It's
Yeah,
fantastic. It's a
Style
great
icon,
brand.
style icon, I must say. Yeah.
It's a brand for the iGaming industry for sure.
That is absolutely true. So yes, we are not paid by Ami Paris, but maybe we
Or
should be.
sponsored.
No
yeah.
sponsorship, but maybe in the future. So if Ami Paris directors are looking at this, then you're very welcome. But that aside, part 3 today of kind of following the journey, the rebirth, if you will, of Yggdrasil since you took over the company. And obviously it's been spectacular to witness the transformation. I remember the first episode we did together where you kind of talked about the work that you had ahead of yourself, that you started at that point. Second part was kind of, you know, now we made a lot of changes. Now we want to see all of these changes coming into fruition. And part 3, now kind of the company has started to soar, let's say, and to understand a little bit more what's happening in the future. But maybe a first question here is, can you summarize maybe the couple of years now that you've been at the helm at Yggdrasil and talk more about the transformation?
Okay, so I joined in October 2023, so it's just over 2 years now. When I came into the company, there was like 4 pillars that we were looking at, like efficiency, sustainability, new product, and disruptive innovation. And to start with, we had to make a lot of changes. I know that we spoke about that before, of how difficult it is getting, you know, changing the teams and the people and the technology. And so we focused really on efficiency for the first year and really had a look at everything that needed to be done, and make all the changes as fast as possible. And I think even last year we were talking about being brave and trying to go faster. And you know, we've really tried to push that forward to make sure that we're in the place now that we can accelerate in 2026. So the efficiency was done. We were at 190 people when I started. We're now 110 people. We've changed 75% of the staff in the company. We highlighted, you know, the great people that we had and we wanted to keep, and they've, you know, a lot of them have been promoted within, and the SMT is made up of mostly promoted people from within from that period of time, supported by some people that have been brought into the company. But the efficiency part is done. Then it was about how do we build a sustainable company, and that was really about looking at our technology, and our platform was old and hadn't been touched for a while and kind of stuck together with, you know, sellotape, a lot like most companies, actually, there was a lot of technical debt. So that was the next part, building a scalable company. So we've rebuilt the platform, and the back office and boost tools. They're all brand new tools coming out very, very soon. And on top of that, we migrated fully to AWS, which allows us to scale so much faster. I mean, I think that one of the big things when I first started, we looked at how many bets we could take per second, and it was like 6,000. And now we can, it's 200,000 plus without any issues at all, because AWS allows you to scale a lot quicker. So, and all that new technology, and the guys in DevOps have done a spectacular job, but it's taken a long time. It hasn't been a quick fix. So, but we've really dedicated our time to do that. So then it was about new product, and a new product actually was the platform. And then the last part of the pillar is always disruptive innovation. Like what are you going to do that's different to everyone else
where everyone says the same.
Everyone says the same thing, and everyone does the same thing, right? and so the biggest thing when we were discussing just over a year ago, it was the costs of building games was still anywhere from 100 to 250 grand, depending on the size of the game, the complexity of the game. Every game always took 10 months to build. Every game you always had to start from scratch. So every time you build a new game, you rebuild the servers and new par sheets and new front end, and it was just tiresome. And that's why so many people have built reskins, because it's just cheaper and faster. And that's why the market has been completely flooded with reskins over the last few years. And the operators have suffered because they've been delivered a ton of rubbish, and the players have suffered the most because they've just been given hundreds of reskins, hundreds of thousands of reskins. So I said to the team and Alex Hayward, who was our CTO, how do we do it quicker? There must be a quicker way. I believe that you're the best technology people in the industry. You have to be there has to be a solution for this. And Alex tells a brilliant story about Mission Impossible. The fact that Yggdrasil is like Mission Impossible. He tells the story much better than me, but I'm sure he won't mind me stealing it for 5 minutes, where he went to the team and said, guys, how do we build a slot in a month that's brand new? And everyone said it couldn't be done. And when he was talking about Tom Cruise to someone the other day, he said, when he built Mission Impossible, where he had to go outside on the Burj Khalifa, he talked to the safety guy and he said, so I want to do this, I want to go outside. And the safety guy said, no, you can't do it. So Tom Cruise said, so we got this new safety guy. and that's what Alex did. He went and got a new team. And we took people, like I said last year, from outside the industry, PhDs in mathematics, and
brilliant
people that we could just challenge to do something different. And it's taken a long time, and there's been a lot of hardship, and there's been a lot of pain in building something brand new. And there's been people outside of Yggdrasil have believed that we can't do it, and even people inside of Yggdrasil have believed that it couldn't be done. And so changing everyone's mindset has been, really complicated. And trying to do something new, we've really had to push through to say that we are not doing anything else. We are only focused on this. We will not build games the old way anymore. And this is what we're going to do. And I'm really pleased to say that the very first game, Raptor 2, will be out in January, built purely on Game in a Box and built in record time. Yeah. And I think it's a testament to the team we have. I think they've done a spectacular job. I believe that we've completely broken the mold of game building, and we will change the industry forever as far as building slots, because now what used to take 10 months now takes 1 month. And it's the death of reskins. There are no more reskins. Every single game is brand new, and every game is like in the hands of the creator. So the creators of the games when they design the prompts for the games, they get 100% of what they asked for, not 20% or 30% or 50%, which is what they normally get after the mathematicians, gone away to try and do a Excel spreadsheet to build a game for them. And so I think that's the real journey of Yggdrasil over the last 2 years. We've rebuilt the platform, we've rebuilt stability, we've rebuilt the team, and we've built a truly disruptive product by focusing on the difficult bit first, which was how do you build a math profile from a prompt. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've done. And it's not just AI, and everyone overhypes AI. We've built it in a way that we believe is people can't copy.
Yeah. It's interesting, and we will talk more about the kind of AI play in a little bit as well. So essentially, I do a lot of podcasts with game studios, CEOs, and so on, and we always talk about innovation. And usually, the game studios, when they talk about innovation, they talk about innovation in game mechanics. So they're really outside of the box of thinking about innovative game mechanic would be Big Time Gaming, who innovated a math model rather than an actual design part of the game. And so the studios are thinking, how can we think outside of the box to create different game mechanics, just like Big Time Gaming did? However, in this case, you are talking more about the business model of what a game supplier is. Yeah, so instead of perhaps reinventing the wheel, if you will, here you are talking about more about like democratizing the slot production and reaching a different type of audience, let's say. And we will dive into that a little bit now as well. So what you are saying with the game in a box, essentially, this is your kind of, let's say, when you think about Yggdrasil in 2026 and beyond, now it's time to kind of push the throttle with this new kind of business model that you are going into in a way where it's not about Yggdrasil just producing X amount of games that are being released in a certain cadence to the operators, but now it's also about catering to third-party customers and offering them a way to bring out their own games and so on and so forth. Talk maybe a little bit more about maybe the business model as well itself and how it differs from how Yggdrasil used to do things or how game studios used to do things.
If you think of game studios, they launch 12 to 24 games a year. If they're bigger, maybe they do 48, right, with huge teams. And so one thing is that as far as, so it's 3 parts. So it's Yggdrasil core games, how that's changed. So we were launching 20 games a year, of which half of them were reskinned because, you need to launch more games. And so that stopped. So now this year we will launch, 2026, we will launch 70 games.
70.
So 70 brand new games, new mechanics, no reskins. And also with new style of mechanics, because it's down to the creator to create. So like as an example, in Raptor 2, in the bonus round, Rick said, well, if you get 3 scatters, it stays on a 5x4, and if it goes to 4 scatters, you can have it as a 5x5, and if you get 5 scatters, then I want it to go to 5x7. We built the prompt, it did it. So now you can build lots of different games really quickly. So that's the great news for Yggdrasil. So we believe that we will have better games and more games. As far as our masters partners and outside of masters, we want to democratize slot building for everyone. So the days of everyone competing for devs and I think is over. We want to take that out. So if you're a masters partner today, or if you are a studio out there and you have high costs, then we want to be able to offer you our tool for a minimum price, because we want everyone to use it. We don't think that there's a need for everyone in the industry to hire big teams of front-end developers and back-end developers anymore. So the new model that Yggdrasil will have is Game in a Box Masters, and for 22,000 euros, we will offer our tool, and that will also cover anyone to to use our tool to build the game. So by building a prompt, it shelters them under our license, so they don't have to pay everyone for different licenses in different jurisdictions. It covers all of their certification costs. It covers their QA. It covers their translations. So we think that we're taking out 80% of the costs.
And they own the IP from the game?
And they own the IP, yes. Yeah. So the great thing about this is that if you have just a really good art and animation team and a great games designer, that's all you need. And the 22 grand covers everything else, including your certification.
And then the game, you deliver the game.
Yes.
No strings attached.
No strings attached. So that's perfect for everyone. What we're also offering now, and what we will be launching at ICE, is Studio in a Box, which means that if you are an operator or a streamer or an affiliate, if you're a land-based operator that would like to get into online but you didn't know how to make money from it, or if you are a creator or a developer that believes that you can build better games than anyone else, we have a Studio in a Box solution. And for 60,000 euros, we do everything for you. All you do is bring the ideas and we build the studio for you. And that includes sales. So we literally do everything. And I think that this is the change.
So 60K, you're saying per game? No, you're saying
60K per game.
Yeah, and then that's like turnkey solution.
Turnkey solution per game. Yes. So if you're a big operator and you're tired of paying everyone, big percentages for the games, and you believe that your games will drive better revenues for you, then you can come to us and we will build you a studio, and all the games go onto your platform, and we just take a small platform fee for that, and then we can sell the games outside of your operation, which should support paying for those games as well. So and if you make a game famous, then and it becomes a hit, then it's not just on your platform, but you earn money from everywhere. And I believe that a lot of streamers believe that they have better ideas than the suppliers, and I would love them to come forward and put their money where their mouth is. But we've made it cheap. Yeah. Right, I think this is a really low risk option for people who would love to have a studio.
Yeah. So the business model again changes from supplier selling to operator, and that is the very basic, straightforward calculation as a game supplier. The operators are the end customer, and that's it.
Correct.
Now you're selling to other game studios. You're potentially selling to other media channels like affiliates who see an opportunity in promoting a game directly to players, and it could be complete other entities that we are not thinking about that
for sure
has a great network or a great marketing channel to promote these games.
If you're an influencer and you think that you can drive traffic, then come and speak to us,
right?
And we will build you a studio, and you can just make it famous. It might be people who have IP.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, you are an influencer. You build a game through the studio of Yggdrasil. You own that IP. You own the game, so to say. And let's say that you have a good network with operators to sell the game to.
Yes.
Is the commercial process for the influencer as simple as if you're already integrated with Yggdrasil, for example?
Yeah. So we sell the games as well. So we take a split of the rev share. So. If you are a studio in a box, you take 70% of the revenue, and we take 30% for our costs.
And is that the same whether the influencer sells the game or whether you sell the game?
It doesn't make any difference. Yeah, it's 70-30. So, and if you're a master's studio and you come to us, then it's 75-25, because the masters have networks, they have salespeople, they have marketing. Yeah. So we're more lenient on the
there's
split.
A room for negotiation, let's say, if
always.
you have
always.
A bit.
So, but if we reduce the costs, and this isn't just about costs. So a lot of people say, if it's cheap, is it not very good? There are so many reskins, and this is the death of reskins. Every single prompt will be individual. You cannot copy a prompt, so every prompt is protected. And becomes the IP of the studio that owns it. And that's what's great about this, because the customers will start getting better games. The players will have nicer games to play with. They won't be, 20 spins in and go, this is a copy of that. So it really opens up the market for a lot more people to come in and explore if they can be successful.
I have a question for you though, James, because recently we've seen some AI-driven game suppliers popping up where you can literally yourself input that prompt and the game is produced for you in 5 minutes and off you go. I understand, of course, that these are reskinned AI-built games, so they
Correct.
are very rudimentary and not that great. Don't you think it is a matter of time before it catches up and kind of game development in that regard becomes very commoditized in that way?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we focus on the tough bit.
Yeah.
So building reskins is easy. Yes, you can go and buy reskins for 20, 30, 40,000 euros, but getting a return on your money is going to be difficult because the customers, the players, at the heart of this, the players don't want to play reskins. They want to play the game that they fell in love with. They don't want to play the 50th version of that. So building AI models that just churn out reskins has been a short-term fix for companies, suppliers, to make better revenues because the market has been flooded. But I think those days are over. And if we can assure every player that plays a game in a box game that it's unique and that it is not a reskin, then our brand of game in a box tools will mean that the players always know they're playing something new. And I think that's what's important.
Yes. And talk a little bit more about the difference of the quality of the game if you create it through Game in a Box versus a manual designer. Talk a bit more about the process as well itself, because I think the first thought is always like, okay, it's an AI game and sure it's unique, but how good?
Yeah, so the first thing is that this is not AI, right? So we've used algorithms to build the algorithms and math profiling in order to build a prompt engine that will create the maths for you. So the traditional way of building a slot is very simple. The creator comes up with an idea, they write it down, they give it to the mathematician, who then has to turn that into some type of math profile, which takes around 4 to 6 weeks. They do it on an Excel spreadsheet manually. It's really basic. It's far more basic than you can imagine. Then they give that to the back-end developers, and then they build the game with the front-end developers, and then they put the art and animation in, and then around 6 months later, the creator of the game gets a game given back to him. That game is normally around 50% of what he asked for because of all the processes that go in place. And that's where the frustration happens for the creator, because then he wants to make changes because it's not what he asked for. And then the CEO who's in charge and the CFO is saying, well, I've already spent 80 grand on this. We need to just go live with it. And that's why players have had consistently poor games for a long time, and there's only a few hits every year. The difference with our tool is that the creator puts in a very long prompt, which will take 1 to 2 hours to type it all in. And then within an hour, that prompt turns into a back-end server, and which we call UGS. It's our Unified Game Server. And then they have a playable kind of demo that they can play.
So this is the AI essentially part of the process. You're saying
correct.
The prompt creates the first
draft of the game. Then you just build a front end onto it. And so we use Unity, and we've built this huge network of so we have Unity developers who are building a framework that makes it very easy to build art and animation into the front end of Game in a Box tool. And then you have a playable, and you should have a playable within 2 weeks. But then this is the best part. The creator can change it 20, 30, 40, 50 times. They can tweak it. They can tweak the maths. They can write different versions of it. When we built Raptor, which was our very first game, we started it in September. We have 17 different versions of Raptor within the first 2 weeks, because the creator of the game, Rick, was like, well, I'm not sure about that part. Let's tweak this. Let's tweak that. And that's the joy of it. The creator can get their hands on the game really fast after a couple of weeks, and and start to shape that game exactly how they want. And then when they've finished, then the game gets, gets completed by the art and animation, QA, quick certification, and it's ready to go. So that 10-month process is now 1 month. And that's the joy of it, which also means that if something is trending in the market, so say that something happens in America, right? And you want to come out with a game because something's trending, you can do that really fast now. At the moment, if you want to do that, you've missed the boat every single time. So you can build towards trends as well. So I think that's the power of the tool, and that's the difference between our tool and what a lot of other people have done, which is basically a reskin engine.
Yes, yes.
Dealing with AI, art and animation, that's easy. Like, that's child's play. Dealing with a prompt that can turn into a back-end server, that's difficult stuff. And Alex would say, well, James, if you can put a man on the moon, we can build it. But it took a lot of people and a lot of time, probably similar amount of time to put a man on the moon, to be honest. But what I can say is that we dealt with the hard problem first, which is how do we deliver exceptional games? And then we had long conversations about, do we let other people use it?
Right.
Do we just keep it for ourselves?
Yeah, right, because that's the big one, yeah.
Yeah. And then I want other people to use it. So then it's, how much do we charge? do we push? And actually what we've done is we've decided to sell it at a price that we believe is so competitive that it's nearly impossible for anyone to say no.
Right.
And so if you have a studio now, for 22,000 euros, you cannot, if you have art and animation and you can deliver art and animation quickly, your costs should come down dramatically. You should be able to build really cheap, which means that you can build better games faster. The players have a better experience, and you get guaranteed return on your investment. If you build a game for 150,000, you're not guaranteed a return on your investment within the first 12 months. It might not happen if it's a flop. But if you're building games for 30, 40,000, you're near enough guaranteed to get a return on your investment all the time. And I think that's what's really important. I think that so many suppliers have struggled, and the market's changing as well, right? So we're becoming more regulated, it's becoming tougher out there, there's more games in the market. So that means that we have to we want to look after the players by delivering better games, but we also want to offer our service so that everyone can make money. And obviously we're going to make money from everyone using the tool, right? So, but we're not trying to make a lot of money. We just want everyone to use it, and then we will make enough.
And you'll be happy at the end of the day too. More Ami Paris shirts.
Yes.
That's all that we're asking for.
For sure.
It's an expensive habit. So.
Yes.
But it sounds like you are kind of taking an orders of magnitude leap, let's say, in this journey. But are there any competitors? Is there anyone doing something similar?
No. So that's the good news. There's lots of people who are saying it, and that's why we kept quite quiet about everything. I think there are competitors who are able to build reskins really fast. I think there's competitors who have worked out how to do AI art really quickly. I think the players will recognize that quite quickly as well. And I think that people appreciate painted art. I think AI helps you. But, we're working with AWS, who have said that no one's anywhere near us. And we're in conversations to put Game in a Box on AWS Marketplace as well, so that it kind of even further democratizes the tool. And I would hope by the time this podcast is released, we have something a little bit more firm. But those conversations have happened for a while now, but they've confirmed to us that no one's even close.
Okay. Are there any drawbacks to creating a game through Game in a Box? Are you looking to create all the 70 games through Game in a Box, for example?
Yes. So our old technology is in the bin. It's gone. So we made that decision in April, maybe a bit early. we made our redundancies then to use the new tool. So everyone that was deemed not necessary anymore, back-end developers, front-end developers, we let everyone go. And we went all in on the new tool. And I think
even
last
before
year,
the games were released, this
for
was,
sure. And
you were so confident in.
Yeah, I think that you have to have a single mind view of this has to work, and everyone has to just be behind it.
Yeah, it's all or nothing.
Yes, no, I think I spoke last year a lot. I heard my podcast and I said be brave a lot, but
Yes.
so I'll try not to say it too much. But I really believe in it. I think that you have to be first, you have to be brave, and you have to push the boundaries if you want to do something different. Otherwise, you're a follower. And if you're going to reinvent the company, then do something different. And we decided to go all in on technology, and that was the big play.
Yeah. And so, any drawbacks with the Game in a Box that you have identified? Is there anything, even though 9 out of 10 say,
yes,
things
I
would
mean,
be great. Is there
has it been harder to build than we thought? Yes. Has it taken longer? Yes. Has building the front end part after doing the really complicated bit, which was the unified game server at the first part, has the second part, which is moving everything to Unity, been more complex than we thought it was going to be? Absolutely. But if it was easy, everyone would do it.
That's the thing, yeah. That's
right?
your advantage, right?
Yeah.
And so when you look into 2026 and beyond, so you have, say, 2 revenue streams now in a way, or if you want to simplify it, which is obviously your own games that you produce, and then when you work with third-party companies,
Yes.
say, if you think about 2026 and beyond for Yggdrasil and the commercial kind of targets that you have in front of you, do you see this kind of new revenue stream as your kind of main push on the commercial side?
Yeah,
How
for
do you
sure.
think about how this will transform your company?
Yeah, so I always look at revenues in multiple ways, because the market always changes as well. I mean, I think this year, more than ever, we've seen some market changes. We've seen people, operators exit because of changes in the market. We've seen declines in certain countries, and that's no fault of the operators or the suppliers, but you know, everyone's money has gone down in certain areas. So if you're going to challenge to grow a company and accelerate, you have to be doing something different. And because we acted early, and this was our tech play, then I think that we're protected for a really long time, because it doesn't matter whether it's for regulated or licensed.com markets, and how those things change. Customers still want to play games, and that was the basis of the strategy. If customers want to play games, regardless how the market changes, how do we own that part? And that's why we wanted to build the tool, and that's why we wanted to democratize it for everyone, so that I could have multiple revenue streams, not only from our own games, not only from masters wanting to use our tool, but from opening it up to Studio in a Box, which is for operators and affiliates and land-based and developers and creators and influencers who all want to run a studio but didn't know how to do it. And they don't have to go and hire a ton of people. They just have to have really good ideas, and it allows them to do that. So we have multiple revenue streams. So when you think about how our business will change, we're expecting more than 100% growth next year, and more than 100% growth again in 2027. And then if I don't achieve that, I would be bitterly disappointed. I think my shareholders would be bitterly disappointed as well. But you know, for me,
I love that.
We believe that it's possible.
I love that. So I mean, now you're just about to launch,
Yes.
I suppose, and you know, waiting for the market to react to this. You obviously know the industry really well, and you have big belief in your product. If the market would react really well to this, is there something holding, like the growth part of this? If you have a large influx of requests, the scaling part must be a bit of a challenge in that regard, right?
Always a nice problem to have.
It's a luxury problem, yes.
It's a luxury problem. I think Richard Branson is probably the most famous, which is, you know, always accept the business and then work out how to do it
figure
afterwards.
it out later.
Yeah. So of course, if we know that tool can handle 1,000 games a day, if that was inputted into it, so that's good. So that the tech works, but it's how we support that. And I think we've worked really hard over the last 2 years to improve our customer service to all the operators. So, and I wouldn't want that to diminish at all. And also we have to make sure that we service whoever uses the tool as well. So yes, we would need more sales teams and the commercial teams. We'd need to support everyone with marketing to make sure that everyone has the best chance of the games doing well. And it's also what the onboarding part of it as well. So when people use the tool for the first time, it's not ChatGPT. It's far more complicated than that just to use it. So there is some onboarding that needs to be done. So we already have a plan of how many we can onboard at a time. And you know, today we're thinking we can do, you know, 5 a week. And if it goes mad, if we need to do 50 in a month, how are we going to deal with that? But nice problem to have.
It's a nice problem to have, yeah. But I mean, aren't you opening Pandora's box a little bit there, James? I mean, 1,000 games a day, potentially, you know, if you were able to scale and the industry would be interested. I mean, already today, a lot of games are being produced and the operators, you know, struggle maybe to onboard as many games as they want.
Yes.
You know, maybe there will be bottlenecks for the operators potentially.
No, for sure.
So many games are flooding the market, even if they are high quality.
And that's why we launched Studio in a Box, actually, to make sure that operators could actually be in charge of their own roadmap with the games that they want for their types of players. And I think that's, if you're an operator if you're a tier 2, tier 1 operator, to not have your own studio would be a travesty now. And I think the days of operators having to buy a studio that's successful for tens of millions is over. You can create your own games. You can put them on your platform. You don't have to pay rev share. And then we sell them everywhere else for you as well. And we can help with, you know, building brands, and because we have expertise inside to help you build a brand, to help you sell it. So I think that's how things will change.
I mean, still, okay, the operators...
and when I say 1,000 games a day, that's what it's capable of. I think the important thing is that we don't plan on building 1,000 a day.
That's what the technology can support.
That's what it can support. And if you're a game designer and you don't like a design that you've put in and you want to tweak it, it means you can continually tweak it.
Right.
You're not in a queue for people. It's not going to come back 5 days later. You can tweak the prompt and it will build you a new game within an hour.
Right.
So with however many people are using the tool. And I think that's what's important about it.
Yeah, fair enough. Still, you know, we can somewhat potentially identify this as an inflection point where, as you say, games do not cost in the hundreds of thousands anymore. They are cheaper, they are faster. And so to some extent, this will change the industry, you could say.
I hope so.
And, you know, okay, the operators clearly should be thinking about creating their own game studio and taking control of their own games to some extent. But I mean, aren't you killing off a lot of the smaller game studios here? Because, you know, even with this cheaper, faster way, I mean, someone has to...
Someone will suffer.
Someone will suffer here, yeah?
So...
Are you killing off, like, you know, 100 game studios?
I don't think so. So I think the people who are suffering at the moment are the players. So I think that the number one sufferer of game studios and games at the moment is the players. So they're not getting quality.
Yeah.
They're getting mass market reskins. And I believe that the first thing we tried to do is to kill reskins. How do we create the death of reskins? So players will have better games to play. Yes. There is a huge market out there worldwide. If you are a small studio, you're still probably spending 70, 80, 100, 120,000. Right. So now you can build for a lot less, a lot faster. You can get a return on your investment. So actually, I think I'm saving the small studios.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm killing them.
As long as they have some creative edge, I suppose.
Yes.
Because if they're
If you
just
don't
in
have
a sea-
creative edge, you're dead anyway.
Right. Yeah. So if you are the type of game studio that is creating the 58 Aztec game or whichever basic game without any form of niche or anything new to the
Of
market,
course,
you'll
you're
have a
not-
much harder time in the future.
For sure. And I think because of what we've built, it does allow the creatives to have a lot more expression in the types of games they want to build. I think a lot of small studios are all held back by mathematicians, actually, saying, well, I need 4 weeks to build a par sheet. So if that's gone, the creatives can actually be more creative, not less creative. And I think that's the joy of the tool. And you're going to see a return on your investment so much faster. You build cheaper, you launch quicker, you can see trends in the market. I think one of the reasons also why we went to Unity is that we get a lot more player data through, which we will share with everyone on their games, so that they can see how customers are reacting and transacting with their games, how many spins per session they're getting, and everything else. So how many times they're hitting buy bonus, what's the average money that they're using on buy bonus. If they win, do they do another one at the same value? Do they go up or down? I think that we're going to allow the creators to have a lot more data also to design games as well. And I think that that's one of the things that we also built a new data warehouse over the last 2 years in order to support this. So we've done a lot of things in the background, which a lot of companies don't do because it's the non-sexy stuff. Rebuilt the platform, rebuilt our data warehouse in order to support all of the fun stuff at the front, so that it gives the creators a lot more chance to build something amazing. I honestly believe that Game in a Box will produce, one of the top 10 games in the next 18 months. If it's Yggdrasil, I would love it. If it's one of our partners, I would also love it, because we are taking the handcuffs off to allow creators to be more creative.
Right. And so I think if you are a game studio or an influencer or an operator and so on, now that you can produce these high quality games at a much cheaper, much faster way, you can start thinking about what opportunities open up that haven't been there before. So I'm thinking, for example, you can maybe niche your games a lot better. Like you don't have to cater to a mass market, but
that's really key. And so we have some new studios that have already signed up early, like early adopters, and they'll be launching in February, from February onwards, and they've absolutely done that. So they've gone out, they've chosen a market, and they're delivering games just for that market. Specific. So whether it's crypto market, or whether it's UK, or whether it's land-based players who play online, that's what's happening now. And those three studios are very dedicated in creating brand just for those markets. And I think there will be more of that going forward. So if you're a Swedish brand and you know your players, then create games for them. And if they become famous, then they will have reach outside of that anyway. But I think that it will be more focused.
Yeah. So it's not about creating that, maybe on purpose, not to create that hit that caters for the whole industry, let's say. But
yes,
you'll have a much better chance if you try to identify your target audience, whether it is a specific geo or whether it is like a subculture or something like this.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know, people who like to go to Burning Man or
yes,
something.
Yes, but as the market changes, they will change as well. So one of the new brands is actually called Fish and Chips. It's for the UK, and it's quirky and it's Cockney. I think it's very clever, and the tax rate in the UK has just changed to 40%. Right? So they've already had emergency meetings about, okay, how do we target this market? The operators are going to be asking for lower RTPs to pay for the tax. How do we change the games? And that's the joy of this tool. Right. So already in development, they've got 4 games already close to being finished. They're already tweaking those games to react to the market trend. Now, that wouldn't ever happen before. You would just have to release them and go, okay, well, maybe they won't work now because the tax rate has changed and the operators are asking for something different.
Yeah.
So I think that's the joy of the tool. You can react to market change, and I think that's where it will go.
Yeah. And when will these tools be available to the general public or potential customers?
So we've onboarded some early adopters, and we've taken some three new brands. One's called Fish and Chips. It's a UK facing brand. One's called Slightly Edgy, which is more crypto facing, and the other one is Suits and Royals, which is a brand that is facing, I think they said that they're going after the kind of the high roller VIP style player that also plays in land-based. So we had a meeting with our current Masters partners some weeks ago where we showed them the tool for the first time. We had a lot of people very interested. We're releasing the pricing now. You're going to be the first person to...
Exclusive.
So you're exclusive. So the pricing is exclusive on here. And what we can tell you is that we think a lot of people will take it. As far as onboarding new people, we believe from March, we can onboard new customers to use the Game in a Box tool. So if you're an existing studio, from March, you can use the tool. If you want to use Studio in a Box, we can start building games from January because it's internal. So it's a lot easier for us to do. So we're trying to make sure that the tool, when externals use it for the new masters, is easy enough to consume, because we don't want to handhold hundreds of people every day. It's too difficult. So we're now kind of writing huge amounts of documentation and stuff so that it's easy for current studios to move on to us.
Yeah, massive part of the scaling.
It's the onboarding.
Question,
This is scaling.
Right?
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit more about the future now of the company in general. This is very exciting, obviously. I understand for you guys, James, you've been working towards this for a long time. What does the future look like for Yggdrasil? Where does the ambition lie here?
I mean, we want to be the world's biggest producer of games, and I think that next year we have a chance of producing more games than anyone else in the industry. We would like for everyone to know Game in a Box as a brand, and that stamp should be on every game to prove that it is not a reskin, and so that players can enjoy playing a lot more. And obviously, my job is to work for the investors that we have to give them shareholder value. Right? So I would hope over the next couple of years that we absolutely do that, and we go above and beyond what their expectations were when I joined, and that's the role.
Yes, and I mean, if you think about in the last few years, the trend seems to have become more towards consolidation of the operators. The operators are more and more pushing the pragmatics and the evolutions and giving less space to smaller studios for positioning, and the kind of big conglomerates have kind of locked down the positioning for a lot of operators and taken that space. How do you disrupt the big ones?
I mean, we
and
disrupt
how do you think
it.
about that from yourself?
Yeah, so I mean, I think Pragmatic, Games Global, Play and Go, they're all fantastic companies, right? They've dominated massively. They've pulled the price down, so it makes it more difficult for everyone else while holding positions for themselves. I would hope this levels the playing field. I still believe that those companies deliver a huge amount of reskins, which operators don't really want. And I would love the next big game or games to come from either us or some masters partners that are something different. And I think that the ambition for Yggdrasil is that we become the brand where the games are built. So we become Microsoft for game building. So it's not really just about Yggdrasil producing great games themselves. It's about people using Yggdrasil as a kind of a stepping stone to deliver great content into the market that players are really going to want to play, and also allow allow people to build, spectacular games that are different from what they're being restricted to now. I mean, at the moment, if you're building a game, you're restricted to what the mathematician can build on an Excel par sheet. We want to remove that. So if you want a game that expands every spin and contracts, you can build it. The tool allows you to say, well, if 3 scatters comes up, the next 5 spins, it's going to extend to a 5x7 or a 10x10. It doesn't matter. Whatever you program in, it delivers that. Now, whether it's playable, that's for the creator to understand whether they think it's playable, whether it sits nicely on a screen, whether the customers are going to be engaged in it. But the people who are designing the games are going to be 100% responsible for whether it's successful or not. And I think it does definitely level the playing field.
Yeah, brilliant. And before we round off, I just want to kind of leave the success of a game, obviously, is down to the design of the game itself, but a big part is also the commercial push that follows to get the positioning and so on. I'm just curious to hear your thoughts, because we had a podcast recently with Tom Wood, who is the CEO for Raw. He's not a small game studio, but also not one of the biggest ones. And their biggest headache is actually getting positioning and getting the players visible, getting the games visible to players. With the advent of a lot of new studios potentially, or studios building great games via you, and understanding that they have a great game and so on, like, what's your advice, let's say, both for Yggdrasil as well in general, how you go ahead with the commercial push for the game, and also for smaller studios with a great gamer portfolio? How do you create the success from the commercial front as well? So this is a headache for you guys. Again,
no, for sure. It's a headache for everyone. I think if you really want to do well commercially, you have to have a brilliant commercial team. You have to have relationships. If the tech's brilliant, great, it's tick. If the game's good, brilliant, tick. If the rates are right, tick. But you still have to have the relationships with the people in order to get the games live, to get them pushed, to convince the person on the end of a phone or Teams or Skype. Actually, it's not Skype anymore. But you still need to convince people to take your games. But so that's the human part is still there. And I know some studios who are spectacular at sales. They focus on 3 or 4 tier 1 customers to really push their games, and they don't focus anywhere else. And that initial push means that everyone else takes the game. And so I think that you have to be clever in how you commercialize. And for the smaller studios, one of the things that we've had long discussions about is, do we offer a service for, if you're a smaller studio, can you have someone who's a dedicated account manager within our team? And I think that's one of the services that we probably will start offering. That if you want someone to sit in our team that's dedicated to you, dedicated to pushing your games, then we will offer that as a service. And I think that will be a big help. Also, what is also a good help is, if you're building games cheaper, you can accept a lower rev share. So you can be commercially more aggressive in the market, which is great for the operators, because it's a race to the bottom at the moment for everyone. But you can be commercially a little bit more aggressive if the costs are a lot less. So if your game costs are down 70-80%, then you can take a cut for certain operators for a certain period of time to get you visibility. And I think that's key. So having good relationships is key. It always has in any business, right? And having a commercial model that allows you some flexibility. It doesn't mean you lower your rates to 2% for all of your games. Of course not. You can't make money like that. But it means that you can cherry pick some partners that are trying to back you, that you give really good commercial rates, which give you visibility. And if Leo Vegas has got a game in a top 10 position that someone does a deal with, and then it's with Entain and with Labrux or and it's in a lower position, then it allows the commercial team to say, oh, it's doing brilliant over there, why don't you push it? So that's how it kind of works, and I believe that those things will continue for a very long time.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, James, for announcing the great news now for Yggdrasil 2026. When we come back here in a year from now, it'll be interesting to see what the topic for 2027, the 100% growth, is going to be.
Yes, no, that'd be brilliant. So thank you so much for hosting me again.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, James. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.